Good morning. Welcome to Time in His Word. Matthew, the 22nd chapter, verse 14 says, "For many are called, but few are chosen." In my readings this morning, it was talking about in Isaiah, the 6th chapter, verse 8, and I'll mention that passage here in a minute. But Matthew is talking about many are called, but few are chosen. I wonder what that means to you. I've got an idea what it means for me, and you know, these are just my thoughts that I throw out there, and you can, take them or leave them or have your own or disagree or whatever. But to me, it says that when you look at the church body as a whole, there's a large number of believers, and they believe just as strongly as I do. But there's very few that take that next step. In other words, there might be somebody who is just sitting on the pew, but more capable of teaching a Sunday school class, but doesn't want to. Or there might be the next preacher, because church is always needing preachers. It's a tough job to teach the congregation and lead and guide them, be a shepherd over the flock. There could be a teacher a preacher sitting in the pew, but they've just not stepped out forward to make that next step. And that's what that verse has always mean to me. Many are chosen, but how does that go again? Many are called, but few are chosen. God's not going to come and stand in your face and say, "Hey, I need you to do this or that or that or this." Doesn't work that way. He'll give you you'll feel something like you need to do more, you need to do something, or you'll have that little inner drive that if you listen to it and you follow on it and you're walking Christ, it can be very rewarding. But if you don't, you'll always have that little nudge thinking, there's something else I should be doing. And that's why that passage, I like that. Many are called, but few are chosen. And the chosen part, to me, is that it's left up to us as an individual, as to whether or not we choose to follow Christ in a plan that He has laid out for us, be it a Sunday school teacher or volunteer in the church somehow, or even go farther and get into the ministry. But that's on us. That's part of that makeup of us that God gives us the ability to choose. We choose whether or not to even accept Him as our personal Savior and follow Him in baptism. He doesn't force that on us. So He's not going to force Himself on us to take on a ministry or do something to share the word with everybody. But there's another passage I mentioned earlier in Isaiah 6 verses 8, and we had a preacher who he has since left our congregation. He went on to another church, but he always closed his messages out with this passage. And the first time he did it, I thought that's kind of odd. And the more I listened to it, and I've read it a number of times over the years, it makes a lot of sense. It's in Isaiah verse 8. It says, "Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, 'Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?' Then I said, 'Here am I, send me.' And He said," in verse 9, He said, "Go and tell His people." So that verse right there, it falls back again onto our choice as to whether or not to get up and follow Him. And if you do, the rewards are great. There's not going to be a big marching band. You're not going to get a big interview on national TV about how great you've done in this ministry or that. None of that's going to happen. It's just going to be a quiet, the people in your congregation might know you're doing something, but basically it's just you're just quietly going about serving God and doing for Him what He wants done. And that's your reward. Our reward will be in heaven, and we see what we've done and the differences we've made in people's lives. We won't get any kind of reward down here. If that's what you're looking for, if that's what you're seeking, is rewards down here, then you're not going to get it. The things I do, I could care less about being acknowledged or being singled out about doing something. That's not why I do all this. I do this because I enjoy it, and I want to share with people each and every day. And it's just that basic. Now, some days I look and see how many people listen. I'm like, the numbers get to me, but I'm learning to overlook that and just realize I just put a message out there, and who hears it is supposed to hear it, and just leave it at that. And so, again, Isaiah, the 6th chapter, verse 8 says, "Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? Then I said, Here am I, send me."